Welcome to episode 49 of Shame Talks.
In
if
a
you've
row?
listened in a row, still in a row, if you've listened to any other of our episodes that end in the number 9, you know that we previously had a shtick because I love the year 1999 so much. I love talking about 1999, that every episode that ended in 9, we always jumped back to 1999 to talk about something from 1999. But I think that well is kind of dried up. I think we've pretty much talked about as much stuff as I could think of from 1999 to do. So this week, we're talking about a guy who released a film in 1999. It was a really crappy film. Jason, do you remember what film he released in 1999?
99. It's got to be The Sixth Day.
No, I think that was 2000.
Oh.
1999 was End of Days.
Oh, that's right. The 666 flipped upside down is 999.
Yeah. Yep.
My fault.
That's
Actually,
all right.
you know what? You say it's a crappy movie, and it's not the best, but it's definitely not the worst either.
I mean, it was better than your first guess. It was definitely better than The Sixth Day because that movie was booty garbage. But we'll get to talking about that down the road.
Booty garbage.
So today, get to the chopper. No, wait, get to the podcast. We're going to be talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger and his career of filmography. But first, we've gone back to the well here. We've gone back to Sun King Brewery. It's not focusing very well. We're going back to Sun King Brewery. Last year, they released a lemon shandy sunlight cream ale that both of us really enjoyed. They've also released the orange vanilla variant, which is also super good. That was so good, they added it to their yearly, it's available year round. So that one's super tasty. This year's variant is the watermelon variant. I think it's okay. I'm looking forward to hearing what Jason has to say about it.
I haven't had any of it yet. Am I supposed to take a drink now?
Take a drink now, man. That's a watermelon-y beer. Take a drink now and let me know what you think of it. Do you like watermelons?
Bottoms up. Yeah, I like it watermelon,
right.
especially when it's really cold. Cheers. Oh, that's weird. It's very weird.
Not their best variant. It's not bad. It's just not really. I mean, it has watermelon flavor to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of watermelon bubble yum. That's what's coming to my brain right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So like the flavoring, the taste, everything kind of it's like a beer spiked with watermelon bubble yum. It's very strange. So
the cream ale probably definitely contributes to that chalky flavor that you would get with that gum and whatnot. The creamy part of the beer is where that comes from. So yeah,
I don't know if I'd buy this to drink it normally. It's fine, but it's I'll never drink this again.
Yep.
I'll finish the beer, but
and when I finished this one, since I drink a lot faster than you, I also brought along the Tropical Sunlight, which is actually a variant from last year. It's their coconut version, which doesn't have a whole lot of coconut flavor to it. It's pretty disappointing.
Now you're making me go, should I go grab that from the fridge?
Yeah,
maybe I'll
grab
that.
Go grab it.
Wait until you're on a rant or something. So
I mean, I can go on a rant right now about Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Nerdist podcast.
I don't want you to do that right now. I want to know if you watched anything fun this week.
Oh yeah. So here, let's address that real quick. Hey. Got some feedback that some people were not as happy as Jason Richardson was about us cutting out that episode or that part of the episode. Specifically, my buddy Troy, very vocal about how he misses the what we watched part of the episode. So this week we're bringing it back specifically for Troy. Sorry, Jaybird, not sorry at all. Dude, this week was a complete disaster for me.
You've got to tell me in like less than a minute.
Both things that I watched, less than a minute. Both things that I watched. Number one, I watched Snake Eyes, which I was actually kind of excited about, and it was completely terrible. Did not enjoy it at all. There is some cool stuff in it, but overall, it's a story I didn't care to see or didn't want to see, in the same way that I didn't really want to see Anakin Skywalker in Episode 1 as a little child. I didn't want to see Snake Eyes, when he could talk and never wore the mask or anything like that. So very disappointing film. Again, some good action fight sequences in it, but not a good enough story to make me okay with it. Then I went and saw Old over the weekend, the new M. Night Shyamalan movie. It cost me $30 and then $100, in drinks and food. And it was nowhere near worth spending $130 to go watch this movie. Absolutely. Shyamalan, definitely like a roller coaster. Like, he has a lot of good stuff that I enjoy. This is not one of them. It has a twist. It's not a real Shyamalan twist. It's just kind of a think of something like Cabin in the Woods style twist, where it's just like, oh, that's what was actually going on while I was watching this movie. Very disappointing. It also wasn't scary at all. Like, I was actually hoping for a scary movie. Like, what's going on to these people? It's not. Everything that's even close to being scary is in the preview, so you know that it's coming right before it happens. Like, very disappointed in both of the movies I watched this week. What'd you watch, man? Did you watch either of those movies?
I did not.
Okay.
I had my son had to wake up really, really early for band practice, so I didn't have the chance to actually stay up late and do that. But I will say the two things that I watched I'm willing to talk about under a minute. One is I finally watched Let Him Go, which is the movie with Kevin Costner and Diane Lane.
Yeah.
And they play a married couple whose son tragically dies. Widow goes and marries somebody that is not the best for her, and they don't get to see their grandson, so they try to go find out what happened and visit them. And it's a very tense movie. Like, very glad I watched it. Should not have turned it on at 2:30 in the morning. Because I was like, I'll watch like 15-20 minutes, and then it's Jason, so I end up watching
5 a.m.
and 4:30 rolled around and I was like, what was I doing? Very tense movie, well done overall. It's probably a 3 on my 5 scale, so
okay.
Definitely worth watching though. The second thing is, and I know you watched it too, I don't know if you watched all of it. I watched all 5 episodes of the new Masters of the Universe Revelation on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
And I am happy that they're doing twists that I wasn't ready for. So
for sure.
That's all I'm going to say for the most part. Like, it's kind of cool to see the characters and everything. Cause when growing up, I had a huge He-Man collection. I watched the cartoon religiously. I love Masters of the Universe with Dolph Lundgren. It's not a good movie by any stretch, but I enjoy it. And then, this new cartoon, they're making it count and doing some things that I wasn't expecting. So I'm happy with that. So
I am very happy with it as well. I won't say that I love it, but I do really enjoy it. I'm nitpicky about a few things here and there, but not anything that really matters. Just like my personal taste about storytelling and whatnot. But overall, the 5 episodes I was given, episode 1 and episode 5 were both amazing. 2, 3, and 4 were fine. They did some very interesting and cool kind of stuff, like you said, that I wasn't expecting in those. But yeah, totally enjoyed Masters of the Universe. Another thing I want to talk about, and I've had 4 friends text me about it this week. Excuse me. A couple of days ago, I think it was Saturday. Saturday, I put up that I was watching the Woodstock 99 documentary that just hit HBO Max. And again, 1999, should have started the episode with this. We could have spent the whole episode talking about this documentary. But anyway, in 1999, I was always very upset that I didn't make it to Woodstock 99. Like, Woodstock 69 was something that I always idolized and was always I wish I was there. Like, I was born 30 years too late. There's no way I wouldn't have gone to Woodstock. Like, I would have really enjoyed, the music and I like camping and, being out in the outdoors. So I really wanted to go to Woodstock 99. I don't think I ever really had a plausible way of making it happen, but I always regretted that I didn't get to go. I mean, watching this documentary it's good that I was not there, because I would have been a huge part of a lot of the problems that was going on. You knew me when I was 19. You knew that I was a little shithead, and I would have been part of a lot of the problems that were going on there over that weekend. So I'm glad I didn't make it. And it was eye-opening to watch this documentary. It's on HBO Max now. I put a post on Facebook that I was watching it. Since then, I've had 4 different friends text me and say they watched it, and thanks for letting me know this was out there so I could watch it. But it's insane. the stuff that actually happened at this music festival. The fact that they pulled it off is insane. But like, there's behind the scenes footage of like the morning meetings that they would have with like the press and like stuff like that. They apparently had people like airing grievances every day, and like the guy that was running the thing was kind of a dick and like was very dismissive of people's complaints and whatnot. Like this one guy like was complaining about like, you have nobody picking up the trash. There's trash everywhere. Like I run a company where we specifically pick up after like concerts and whatnot, and we pick up after 50,000 people in like 3 hours after a concert is over. You have nobody walking about picking up trash. And this guy is like, well, instead of complaining, why don't you be part of the solution? Why don't you and your people just go out there and start cleaning the trash up? And I'm like, man, you are a fucking dick. So yeah, it's really just eye-opening, all the stuff that was going on at this festival. And I mean, it's kind of, they interview a lot of the people, like the band people that played there, and like you get to see the actual like Limp Bizkit inciting a riot thing that like I've read about before, but like this has video footage of it happening, like to what extent he was really responsible, or Fred Durst was really responsible for, like, I don't know. But number one, it's a time capsule in '99 to see all those bands performing and then interviewing them now about what it was like to be there. Like, very cool documentary.
All right, so now we're going to get to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, the first thing that I want to say is we're going to have fun talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger, but if you want like a real good in-depth Arnold Schwarzenegger conversation, the Nerdist podcast.
Dang it, I was going to bring this up.
Okay, the Nerdist podcast, which is now the IDT 10 podcast. Chris Hardwick, when he left Nerdist, was part of the deal for him leaving was keeping all of his episodes that he did. So they've been rebranded as the ID10T podcast now. It was episode 496 on March 24th of 2014. And it's the Arnold Schwarzenegger episode. And it's an amazing episode. I actually just listened to it today to have it fresh in my head. But he goes into so many details about growing up in Austria and like what his goals in life were then. Like he, saw the first bodybuilder that played Conan in like the 1950s or 60s or whatever that it was, and how he idolized him and how he wanted to be a bodybuilder so that he could literally get a job moving to Hollywood. And then it's just serendipitous that he ended up, becoming the new Conan after this guy who was his idol. He tells stories about talking at that guy's funeral because he ended up eventually becoming friends with him. And then some of the greatest stories, and you'll attest to this because I know we've talked about this before, is his genius in getting into like businesses when he first came over here. He basically put all of the money that he had when he came over here to buy an apartment complex. And a few years later, somebody offered him a lot more money than he paid for it, so he sold it. But he put like $27,000 into this apartment complex. Somebody offered him like $80,000 for it, so he sold it. And then he took that $80,000 and just bought a different, building or whatever, and literally just kept buying buildings and then reselling them years later when they were worth so much more money. And it's just he basically wanted to say that he had businesses making him money so that he never had to take a movie role just for the money. He was like, I wanted to do whatever movies I wanted to do. And that's why I was making money with like his real estate stuff. And I'm like, that's genius and so cool that somebody like that was just so smart to not be like, I'm going to go blow all my money. I'm going to go do a bunch of drugs and stuff in Hollywood. Like, that podcast is so fun to listen to him talk about that kind of stuff.
It is. I would totally agree.
So we got
some trivia, Shane.
We got some trivia. I, as a soccer fan, am going to start with the fact that he is from Austria. He is from a small town called Thal, which is a suburb of Graz. Graz is the second largest city in Austria, and in the suburb of Thal, they have a soccer stadium that they have named after him.
Okay.
What'd you got for me?
You gave me that he has the record for winning the most major bodybuilding events in history. He's won 13 different titles. Mr. Olympia 7 times, Mr. Universe 5 times, and a Mr. Junior Western Europe. So
that is a lot of bodybuilding. Everybody knows that I love the Razzies. I think the Razzies are hilarious. Arnold Schwarzenegger is the only person ever to be nominated for Worst Actor, worst supporting actor and the worst screen couple from The Sixth Day because he was cloned in the movie and has a scene with himself. So all three of those nominations all came from The Sixth Day, which is funny. And I love the fact that the Razzies do dumb shit like that, but it's hilarious. He was the worst actor, the worst supporting actor for his clone, and then they were the worst couple because they had a scene together.
What's the last bit? Throw your way is that he just became a grandpa for the very first time in August of 2020 when his daughter Catherine gave birth to Chris Pratt's daughter. And so Lila Marie Pratt who has been born and makes Arnold a grandfather for the first time.
When I read that, I was just like, I mean, he's been around for so long. I can't believe that, like, now
he's 70s, isn't he?
Something like that, at least. Like, yeah, definitely in his 70s. But like, and he's becoming a grandfather for the first time. Like, I was just like, that's great. But like, I believe if I was looking at everything, like, I think Catherine's his oldest child, and she was born in like 87 or something like that. So it sounds like he started having kids late.
She's quite the babe too.
Yes, she's very beautiful. And it makes me sad because I can't be mad at him, but Anna Faris is also really gorgeous. So, like, Chris Pratt has, like, real-world A-list actor problems.
Yeah, the dude's 73 years old.
Like, that's insane.
And, Shane.
Yeah, what's up?
One of the reasons why we are doing them this week is because his birthday is July
the 30th. Yeah.
Yep.
We are wrapping up Juiced Up July with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Well, and we're going to, let's address this as well real quick. So we're wrapping up Juiced Up July. We had our blockbuster month. We've had our action stars month. We've gotten some feedback that listing off people's resumes in chronological order week after week after week is not the most exciting episodes that we've put out. I feel like we talk about the episodes, and as Jason mentioned to me, that's just kind of how my brain works. My brain kind of works in a somewhat chronological order. I like having order to things, especially when we're talking about them. So I understand that it's been a little more dull just going in order of everybody's careers. So tonight we're gonna flip it around a little bit. We're gonna do his career in 3 different parts in chronological order. The bulk of it will be his action resume, and we'll do that in chronological order. And then we will look at his comedy films in chronological order. And then we will look at 4 specific movies where he just has small cameos in them. So it's not exactly all in chronological order. What's up?
He's also not divorced from Maria Shriver.
He's not?
No, they've only filed for it. They've never actually gone through with the divorce.
Interesting.
So you wonder why that is. Like, and knowing she's a Kennedy, I wonder if like it's because she has too much money or if he has too much money, or whatever the case may be.
Well, the one thing that I did leave off of the trivia this week is apparently when he was much younger and was bodybuilding in Austria, he told like his best friend, I have 3 goals in life. 1, I want to win Mr. Olympia or whatever competition, or Mr. Universe or whatever.
Yep.
Number 2, I want to marry a Kennedy. And number 3, I want to be an actor. And so in theory, he's technically done all 3 of them.
3 for 3, baby. 3 for 3.
So I always thought they were a fairly decent power couple, at least in the 90s and whatnot, when I paid attention.
Dude, he couldn't keep his will. He packed in his pants. That's
right. He had the babysitter allegations or whatever, right?
That was his housekeeper.
Yeah.
So, well, if it wasn't even an allegation, he's come out and said that.
Oh, okay.
Good. So,
well, the one thing I will say is I at least remember that when I saw the picture of her, it was far better than Tiger Woods' picture. So
no, it wasn't.
It wasn't?
It was the same kind of thing. Like,
was it? Oh, okay.
You had every opportunity in this world, and there would have probably been a line out your door, but you went with that. But hey, I mean, you know what? You end up in weird situations, and you end up in relationships that you never thought you'd end up in. So
yeah. All right. So before we get into his resume, I got a couple things that we're going to address. I cut out quite a few things at the beginning of his career to kind of just shorten this up. There was a bunch of little bit parts that he had in some movies, a couple of things that he was uncredited in. I left those all out. He did a couple of bodybuilding documentaries early on in his career that was literally just like footage of him like doing Mr. Universe competitions and stuff like that. So I removed all that stuff. In the last couple of years, he's produced and narrated some documentaries. I cut those out. I didn't really feel like they mattered at all for us to talk about. So yeah, and then the last thing is Arnold took a kind of gap from filmmaking. He was the governor of California from November 17th of 2003 all the way until January 3rd of 2011. He did do 4 projects during that time, and we'll address them when we get to them. They're all bit parts, so most of them will be at the very end of this. But a pretty big gap in his career. So his first film, which our friend Jay claims is his favorite Arnold movie, I don't believe it. I think he just said it because he enjoys, making up weird allegations. But he claims Hercules in New York is his favorite movie. And I've never seen Hercules in New York. Have you?
I have not.
Yeah. So I'm not really sure. I got nothing to say about it.
Go to bed.
Hi, Sarah. We have a guest.
No, you're just trying to steal time on the podcast. What do you want?
I was going to say goodnight to you.
I came upstairs and said goodnight to you already. Hurry up. You're interrupting the middle of the podcast. Good night.
Hi, Sarah. Good night, Sarah. It's okay, man. Like, every month we got to get at least a cameo from your kid on here. Like, one of them is always in the mood to be on camera. They're your child. They know how this works.
Yeah, this is
not a problem. So neither of us have seen Hercules in New York. I'm sorry, Jay. I literally have nothing to say about it. So
I'm not even interested in watching that movie because he got dubbed over in that film, and so you don't actually hear his voice.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not interested. I will say that next up, it's written by Oliver Stone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the most solid movies in his entire career, and it's his second film that he actually gets. I mean, besides the docs, which we're not going to include.
Right. Yep.
But
his second actual legit acting role,
Conan the Barbarian, and
which was it's amazing. It's a great film.
And not only is it's a great film, but on top of that, like he knocks it out of the park for somebody who it's not like Conan's supposed to be sitting there like having a chat every time. Like,
nope,
he's a silent barbarian who does his thing and then he's just done and over with. And James Earl Jones is fantastic in this movie. I won't say fantastic, sorry, but like he's good as the villain. Yeah, for what it is. But I mean, I think like how jacked he is in this movie to play Conan the proper way, it's fantastic. So was it last week when we were doing The Rock, I talked about the fact that early on in his career he seemed like a much smaller guy. Now he's massive and he's literally a rock. I kind of feel like Schwarzenegger kind of did it the other way. Like a lot of his early movies, like he is huge, and then I feel like as he aged, his body kind of proportioned back out to where he just looks like a well-built man. But like specifically in Conan, like his body is ridiculous. Like you understand why he was a bodybuilder and won so many things. Like his muscles are just ridiculous in that movie. He's got muscles.
I don't remember The Destroyer as much. I think this might be only one that I've seen once.
So the first Conan was a rated R movie. It was brutal. It was bloody. It had sex in it. The second one, it's more of like a comedy almost. I won't say comedy, but it's very light compared to the first one. This one has
Bridget Nielsen in the first one.
No.
No. Who is Sonya in the first one?
No, Sonya's not in any of these.
No. Okay. Who's the main chick in the first one?
Oh gosh, you would ask me that. So the first Conan,
Connie Nielsen? Connie.
No. It's nobody.
Oh, okay.
I know that like my brothers would be like, "Oh, it's so and so," and that's because they were alive and really awake at that point in time. So,
like I can picture her. I don't know why I'm getting it wrong,
dude. Like, Shondal Bergman.
Okay, I wouldn't have pulled that out. Weird. Okay.
Yep. Which is really interesting because
I'm thinking of Red Sonja, aren't I?
You are.
That's what I'm thinking.
So this lady had to do her own stunts because nobody was as big as her, like tall.
Really?
I couldn't find anybody close to her size. That was a stunt woman. So, but yeah, so the writers on this, Oliver Stone wrote it, and then the John Millis is the one who directed it, and he wrote Apocalypse Now. He directed Red Dawn from 1984.
Great
He also
movie.
did Flight of the Intruder, The Wind and the Lion. Flight of the Intruder was
the POWs. The parents get captured in a POW camp or something.
No, it's an unauthorized airstrike movie.
Okay.
Got Willem Dafoe, Danny Glover, Rosanna Arquette. If you saw the poster or the box art, you'd be like, "Oh, I remember that in the video store."
Sure.
But and then he also did The Wind and the Lion. Was what was it? Candice Bergman and Sean Connery doing Robin Hood ish.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah.
So I think it was Robin Hood. Anyway, so the Conan was brutal. It's got a 6.9 on the IMDb, and it tells the story of him being a young kid and then being his village being destroyed and him just growing up to become a badass. So yeah, definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it. So
then we get to the sequel with the Destroyer, and you're gonna, like I said, you're gonna have to fill me in on that one.
Okay, so the Destroyer had a different feel. So you had the first one, which is rated R, and then the second one comes out 2 years later, and it's a PG movie.
Like PG, like not even PG-13.
Correct.
Oh, PG-13. Oh, it would have been around by now. Yeah.
Grace Jones is in it. She plays this crazy huntress kind of chick. Olivia Diabo is in it, the chick from Wonder Years, the older sister.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Wilt Chamberlain is in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Tracy Walter. If you saw him, you'd be like, oh, that guy, because he's a comedian. Well, let me rephrase that. He was Bob the Goon in Batman.
Oh, okay. I remember that guy. Yeah.
But yeah, so he's kind of like the comic relief in this movie because he's a thief and he's trying to steal stuff constantly. The whole plot revolves around Conan leading a ragtag group of adventurers on a quest to rescue the princess, which is Olivia Diabo. And I
want to say that I've seen it, but I literally don't remember it.
Yeah, they killed his wife from the first one. Like he's happily with her or whatever, and she ends up getting murdered. So it was just I
have a feeling what happened was being the way that my family was in the 80s, I probably saw the second one first.
Oh, I guarantee you did.
Since it was a PG movie, and I definitely saw The Barbarian later in life, and that's why it sticks out more in my head. And I probably just am in my head, the two movies are probably just melding together from different times watching them. But yeah. So I probably don't remember The Destroyer very much. But his fourth major credited movie is probably one of the best science fiction films, action films, genre movies ever, other than its sequel, and that's The Terminator.
And I have to agree with our coworker Brandon Yoder that as much as I love Terminator 2, Terminator's a better movie. It just is. It keeps your attention. It's a shorter movie. It's an hour and 47 minutes. Whereas
T2, you've got like a 2 hour and 40 minute version. Yeah.
Yeah, 217, and that so you're adding a half an hour.
Well, and that 217 is probably the theatrical. I think 240-ish or whatever, closer to 3 hours is the director's cut.
No, I think it's like 230. I think 230, 240, somewhere in that range. But yeah, gotcha. This movie is so hard hitting, so fast. It solidifies Arnold Schwarzenegger as an action star
for sure. And they're both different movies. Like the first one is it's like a Michael Myers movie almost. Like the Terminator is literally just coming after the final girl, and you've got Michael Biehn trying to save her. And it's literally just a shape that is coming after her, hypothetically for no real reason other than to prevent her son from ever being born. But it is in vein of a horror movie, whereas the second one is literally one of the best action movies that's ever been made.
Yeah, and I mean, and here we have Terminator. You have James Cameron in his first really big movie, essentially.
I mean, he directed Piranha 2.
We could never forget that.
Oh wait, no, was that Spielberg? Am I? Wait.
No. You're right.
It was James Cameron. Okay.
So Terminator, though, he gets Stan Winston to do the T-800 skeleton. He this movie it's pretty damn close to perfect. But yeah, this movie.
You guys are probably not wrong. It is probably, like, literally thinking about it as a whole movie, it is probably a better movie from top to bottom than the second one. I really do love the second one when we talk about it, but like I'll agree. It is a very, it's dark, it's gritty, it's
tense.
The
whole movie is tense.
Dude, and like as a youngster, like 10, 12, whenever I was watching the first one, the scene where he's in the hotel or whatever, and he's like cutting out, like after he gets in the fight, and he's like cutting out the eyeball and like doing the stuff in the sink and whatnot, like that I wouldn't say it traumatized me, but like it stuck with me. Like that scene, like, because it starts with like the shot of the sink, and you just start seeing like blood dropping in and whatnot, and then like I don't know if it
eyeball fall in the water.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh man, like it's so memorable stuff like that. Yes. And dude, Michael Biehn is great in this movie. Like,
he's fantastic. I love him in almost any movie he's ever done.
Agreed.
He brings a good. Heck, we were just talking about him last week. You and I were talking off camera. I just watched Take Me Home Tonight.
Oh yeah, yep.
And he's the dad in that, and he's got a small part, but he's awesome in it. So,
he is.
After
and just real quick, addressing Michael Biehn and Take Me Home Tonight, that the very end of the movie when he finds his son's name tag at the crime scene. Like,
he puts it in his pocket.
He just puts it in his pocket, and he's got like a proud look on his face. Absolutely. Like, because of the conversation that they had like in the middle of the movie, like the arrest part of the movie, and he has a conversation with him. And then like it makes me happy seeing that scene where he picks up his son's name tag at the crime scene, just puts it in his pocket, and just has that, my son did something badass tonight. So so Michael Biehn is badass. Terminator is top to bottom such a good movie.
Yes.
And Arnold really makes it. And on the Nerdist podcast, I love hearing his story about how he wanted to say, I will be back. And James Cameron was like, no, I wrote, I'll be back. Like, I want you to say, I'll be back. And he was like James and I had a literal, like, conversation about the fact that I wanted to say I will be back, and he refused to let me say it that way. He said, say it the way I have it written. And he was like, but I wouldn't say it that way. And he's like, but I'm the writer, I'm telling you to say it the way that I wrote it. And he was like,
one of the most iconic lines from the 80s, easy.
Yep. Also on the podcast, it's great to hear him talk about all of his like misquoted like big famous lines that he has that people like misquote all the time.
Apparently it was his idea during filming of the Terminator, whenever he's like looking somewhere, that and I can't remember if this was from the Nerdist podcast or not, but he would lock his eyes. His eyes would lock somewhere, and then his head would turn almost like a surveillance camera.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And he was like trying to think of it from a robotic standpoint. And so like the way, and after hearing him explain that, and then watching like the scene where he's in the parking garage with the other cops trying to find them while they're trying to steal a car to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those moments where I'm like, oh,
just
a little tiny quality that you didn't like. No, you noticed while you were watching it, but you didn't like him sitting there saying that it was his idea for like the way his head turned and like was like scanning everything was cool.
And on the Nerdist podcast, I loved him talking about how early in his career, a lot of people were arguing about him being cast in things because they were like, they didn't like his accent, or they didn't like the way he looked, or they didn't like, certain things about him. And I remember him telling a story about how like James Cameron like pushed for him and said, without Arnold, like, we don't have a Terminator. If we cast anybody else in this role, we would have to build a robot to look like how we want the Terminator to look. And Arnold just looks the way we want to look. And then Arnold's like, the other thing is everybody was complaining about my voice back then and the way that I talked. James Cameron literally said, I want him to be the Terminator because he talks like a robot. So, like, it's really cool that, like, early on in his career, a lot of people were doubting him and didn't want him to be cast in things because he wasn't, like, the normal that they wanted. But his accent or his look or whatever got him some of the biggest parts that he had. I know there was something on Conan also. I can't remember the story right now, but I know the director of Conan basically was like, we have to cast him because if we don't cast him, nobody else will look, realistic in that role. So after the Terminator, we get to Red Sonja, which is where I was mixing up a lot of things.
This is rated PG-13.
Okay.
What comes out the year after Conan. What's interesting to me about this is that the property was from, oh God, what's the guy's name? Robert, the original guy who created Robert E. Howard.
Okay.
He created Conan, but he also created Red Sonja. This is Bridget Nielsen.
That's what I was getting confused.
She is Red Sonja.
Yep.
My issue with this movie, and it's more just being nitpicky, right? Because like he literally looks like it's a year removed from Conan.
Right, and he looks the exact same.
Howard. He's making a Robert E. Howard film.
Right.
But
do you know why he wasn't just Conan in this movie? Like, why did they give him a different character?
The different character named Calidor. Not only that, but they used the woman who was his wife in Conan, the first Conan movie, to play the evil queen in this one. So It's like, here you have a bunch of people that were in the other movies and they're just like, oh, we'll just bring them into this one and give them new names and it'll be totally okay and nobody will mind. And it's like
so weird.
It's a very strange mix. It like if it was all written and directed by the same guy, like I'd be like, oh, it's Kevin Smith-esque, or because he likes to reuse the same people over and over again. But yeah, this is not. It's totally different people. They were just literally cashing it in.
So weird. Like it just, I don't know, because I don't know. It is what it is. So I know I've seen the movie, but I don't remember a lot of it. I obviously got it confused with Conan.
MGM did Red Sonja, and I can't figure out. I want to say maybe it was Paramount who did the Conan movies.
For some reason, that doesn't sound right to me.
But I might be wrong. Yeah, I can't find it very easily.
Yeah, I for whatever reason that just doesn't.
Yeah, I'm not finding it easily. So I'll let you do it. But
Destroyer.
In 1985, we also get Alyssa Milano.
Conan was Universal. Universal did North America. MGM did International.
Oh, okay. So 1985, we do get Alyssa Milano playing his daughter, and he plays John Matrix in
Commando.
Dude, and this is literally like just a brutal,
so much fun,
kill everybody fest. This is one of those movies that I watched this so much growing up, being in a military family.
Sure.
And yeah, just over and over again. And it's got classic one-liners. It's another movie where they were like, you know what? We're just not going to have them talk a whole lot.
Dude, and like the meme that has come from it.
But yeah.
The meme of their two hands like coming together. Oh no, there's no way I lost my internet. Did I? Oh no, you're back. Okay. My internet is unstable. No, my internet is not unstable. You are ridiculous. My internet is ridiculous. I pay for stupid internet. Okay. You look like you're fine again. I apologize.
Tommy Chong's daughter plays the main girl in this movie.
Oh, really? That's pretty cool.
Ray Dawn Chong is the main girl who he ends up like in the love relationship with.
Right.
But this one's got a lot of good people in it. Dan Hedaya is in it. Then you also get Bill Duke.
I love Bill Duke.
Yeah, and Chelsea Field is in it. She was Tila in Masters of the Universe.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so like you just have a ton of people in this movie.
Yeah,
So.
it's so much fun. And like you said, it's just brutal and violent and lots of did he have like what am I trying to say here? Is this one of the movies that started him giving like quips before he would kill somebody?
Definitely. I mean,
I feel like there was some in Commando, right?
I mean, it seems like it would have started right around here because it let off some steam. Bennett he's dead tired and stuff like that. Like those are definitely lines that he started with in that point. And now I'm looking at everything else and I'm like, yeah, that pretty much fits.
Yeah, probably right here around Commando was when he started giving like some one-liners when he would kill people, which was always a cool thing. And I know it's been referenced in like lots of movies and TV shows and whatnot. That it was always a funny point of him giving a one-liner before it's referenced in The Last Boy Scout.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. Raw Deal, I have to be honest, I don't remember this movie.
So Raw Deal,
I don't think I've ever seen it.
He's a former FBI agent turned small town sheriff, and he agrees to help the FBI infiltrate the Chicago mafia. When the FBI's chief son is killed by the mafia, and so he goes on this weird little tear. It's just kind of blah. It's an okay movie. It's not great. One of the bad guys, Robert Davey. I think Robert Davies one of the bad guys in this one.
I do remember the box art for it. So I do. But I don't think
it's on HBO Max right now, so you could watch it if you wanted to.
I might just need to do that soon. Is it worth watching? Like, as somebody who's seen it, do you think it's worth watching?
I haven't seen it in probably 30 years, so it's been a long time. I'd say don't bother. It's actually in my queue for HBO Max.
Is it?
And I'm just like, I'll find the time. I want to watch that. And what was the other one that popped into my head the other day that I was like, oh, Vegas Vacation. Since I went to Vegas for my 40th, I kind of just want to watch it again.
I remember not liking Vegas Vacation very much.
It's not the best, but Nick Papagiorgio is pretty awesome. So
okay, all right.
Ethan Embry playing Rusty and winning all the cars is kind of silly and ridiculous. So.
Well, and if I remember right, Vegas Vacation was like 98 because I think it was our senior year. Yeah. So like I'd already grown up with A Very Good Vacation, fell in love with Christmas Vacation because it's a Christmas movie. Euro Vacation I enjoy for the most part. It's okay. But then I remember going to the theater to watch this as a senior in high school and just being like, what is this crap? Like, I remember not liking it very much.
It's not great, but I might just watch it just for the nostalgia factor.
Sure.
But
his next movie in 1987?
I came home from Germany the summer of 1987.
It was the first movie you watched.
I wouldn't say this was the first one, but I can remember at least 3 movies that came out this summer that I went and saw while we lived in Massachusetts before relocating to Indiana. August of 87. And those 3 movies that I remember are RoboCop.
Nice.
Spaceballs.
Good movie.
And Predator.
Predator is probably one of the best action films ever.
Not sure how my mom allowed a 6.5-year-old to go see Predator and RoboCop in the movie theater, but whatever. Like, I wouldn't do it with my daughter Sarah, who was cute and showed up earlier tonight. She's not coming with me to watch an R-rated sci-fi movie, but whatever. Like, Predator is easily top 5 material for action sci-fi movie of all time.
It is so good. Also crazy the fact that Jean-Claude Van Damme was supposed to be who he was fighting.
Yeah, it was like, and if you saw the costume of the original costume of like this lobster alien thing, so bad, so bad. So glad that they redid it and they got Stan Winston to come in yet again. Yeah. Directed by John McTiernan.
Great director.
Right when he's having this huge upswing because he has this and then he does Die Hard and he just keeps knocking them out of the park for a little while there, and then it just all goes.
And
away.
Then it goes to crap. Yeah. I can't remember what other episode it was, but I know we had an episode where we literally went on a tangent of all of John McTiernan's movies.
Yeah, but
it might have been our 30th episode when we did the Die Hard episode. I think that's what it was. I think when we were talking about Die Hard 1 and John McTiernan, we went on a tangent looking at his entire career, and we were like, it's good, 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 great. And then a bunch of crap for a long time.
And Predator, though, is top notch.
So good. Shane Black.
Movie. Like so many good people. Jesse the Body Ventura's in this. Like
crazy they both ended up in government.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Yeah.
But yeah, Predator, fucking phenomenal. Like
it is
literally one of those movies where if you haven't seen it, you should watch it because it still holds up today. And to 100%. Be completely honest, it was about 5-6 years ago. Probably closer to 10 years ago. They did a 3D version for Blu-ray. And
the Predator?
Yeah, they did a 3D
really,
Blu-ray and they retroscoped it and everything, and it looks so good. Like,
do you own this?
I do. Okay. Like, I.
You know me, and I am not a big 3D guy. I'm not a fan of 3D. I think it's the biggest shtick in the world. There are some 3D, like Friday the 13th 3D. I enjoy like your old red, blue 3D and whatnot. In 3D in the 2000s, I felt like it was a big shtick. But if I could watch Predator in 3D, I would be willing to come over because you're one of the few people I know who owns a 3D TV. I would come over and watch it to see if it's as good as you say.
Dude, when he takes off the mask in 3D, you see like the mouth,
the teeth and whatnot
up, and it's got the depth of. it's so cool.
Okay, maybe the next time I'm over, you need to at least fire up a scene or two for me to see in this 3D version.
I haven't. I on a side note with 3D, I bought the 3D version of Gravity, which I've never seen in 3D, but I watched the movie and I know that the movie's good for what it's doing, but it's not a great movie overall.
Right.
And I'm excited to watch the 3D at some point. Life of Pi, I popped in the 3D a couple of days ago.
I saw
never
that.
Seen the movie. Never have watched the movie ever.
I have no interest in the movie.
I didn't either, but I heard the 3D was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the whole reason I picked up that DVD. And
was in the $5 bin at Walmart?
It was not.
Okay, all right. Just curious.
You can't find many 3D movies in $5 bins right now.
All right.
But like the opening sequence, it's the whole movie's about a zoo that's getting relocated, and the whole opening, all the credits for the opening sequence are with animals running through a zoo, like different parts of the zoo and stuff. And just like the 3D looks absolutely beautiful. And then the last one, which I haven't popped in yet, but I'm going to, especially before my birthday, because the sequel drops on my birthday, is Top Gun in 3D. And I'm super stoked to watch that.
Did we show that at our theater?
Did we show what?
Top Gun 3D. Didn't they release that in 3D at one point? No?
Nope. They never released it in theaters.
Okay.
That I'm aware of.
Okay.
So
for some reason, that's one that I thought that I had seen in 3D for some reason.
I'm still mad that I can't buy the 3D version of the Phantom Menace.
Which you and I did go see together.
And I can't buy the 3D version of Terminator 2, which to our next movie. Yeah, like they released that in theaters like 3 years ago, and you can't buy the DVD for it.
That's stupid, but we're a long way away from Terminator 2, man. We got a long way to go.
But we're going back to Arnold Schwarzenegger, The Running Man is in 1987 as well.
Fun movie. It was okay.
So fun.
Yeah.
So fun. It's not a great movie.
No.
Jesse the Body Ventura shows up again.
Again, yep.
You also had the guy who used to do the Family Feud. Who is this guy? Richard, isn't that him? I'm trying to find him. Yeah, Richard Dawson.
Oh, I don't think I remember him being in that, but okay.
The main bad guy, dude. Like
Richard Dawson's the main bad guy. I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Running Man whole story is about a guy who doesn't want to kill civilians and then is made to look like he did do it. So they send him to jail, and then he breaks out, and then he gets caught, and then he gets to earn his freedom back on the television show, The Running Man, which everybody's just become bloodthirsty Hunger Game people.
It wasn't like a Philip K. Dick story, was it?
I think you are correct on that.
I think it was. I think that
Stephen King.
Oh, Stephen King. Okay, yeah. I knew an author that I liked was responsible for it. So yeah, that makes sense. Stephen King. Yep.
So yeah, like he fights. I mean, it's almost like a video game because like he fights all the guys who have like buzz saw, and he's got these circular saw blades that he can like shoot at people and try to cut people with. It's very weird. It's a very silly movie. It's very Gladiator-esque, but it's a futuristic Gladiator, and it works. So.
I don't want to say it's a great movie, but it is one that I have fun when I watch it. I think it's a fun story. After Running Man, we get Red Heat.
Do you remember this one at all?
No.
It's him and Jim Belushi.
James. Oh, I remember the box art. I don't know if I ever saw this movie. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So yeah, it's the movie poster is he's a old.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
should I have put this in the comedy section?
It says action comedy crime thriller.
So this may have, on his whole resume that we've been through so far, this might be his first comedic partial movie.
He's not comedic though. It's very much like
Jim Belushi.
And Jim Belushi's so he's a Russian policeman who has to come and help the Chicago police apprehend somebody. So
that wouldn't fly today. You can't have an Austrian playing a Russian today.
No, he'd have to only be Austrian.
Yeah, you would have to cast a Russian as a Russian.
Yeah, you would have to. So
that's hopefully this movie doesn't get canceled.
Yeah, we'd hate for that to happen. So.
But yeah, I don't remember this movie at all.
So yeah, then
other than the box art, I do remember the box art. But his next movie.
Next year, the one year later, 1990. I want to say, I can't remember if this was summer release or not, but he definitely does have some quips in this one as well while he's killing people.
For sure. And this is definitely a Philip K. Dick story.
This one is interesting because they were talking about a sequel for this movie for so long, and then they never did it. But they have rebooted it since, which is
Total Recall.
Yep.
Or, as the novel was called, We Will Remember It For You for Wholesale.
And Sharon Stone plays his wife in the movie.
She is so smoking in this movie, dude. She is absolutely gorgeous. And I'm pretty sure I honestly didn't see this movie until after Basic Instinct and Sliver. Like, I feel like this is one that I watched, high school years or whatnot. So I'd already seen Basic Instinct. I'd already seen Sliver. And then I remember catching up on this movie and being like, yeah, you are a very beautiful woman.
She is.
Yeah.
And she's actually, I think she looks even better in this movie than she does in most of her movies.
Sure. And like even the scene, even the moment when she like turns on him is just, it's
sexy.
It's sexy, man. Like she nails that scene.
Yep. I totally agree.
Now I'll give you this. Here's the only thing about that scene. As sexy as that scene is, the only thing in the reboot that is better and sexier is your girl going from an American accent to her British accent during her betrayal.
Yes.
That is amazing.
And then she pulls out an automatic weapon right after she does it too.
Yes.
Like, so sexy.
Like Sharon Stone, super sexy in her scene, but the only thing that the reboot might get slightly better is Kate Beckinsale going from her American accent in the middle of a fight to her British accent, and then using it.
Evil, man, she turns evil, and the British accent pops on, and she pulls out.
Oh, it's so good,
so sexy. So,
but yeah, the whole Quado and everything with Mars and all that, like. I feel like the original movie handled it far better than the reboot did. The reboot was just looking for uber sci-fi and not really caring about story so much as the action sequences in the movie. It's and the first one's just bizarre, but it's very Philip K. Dick like it's very just like weird shit is going on, and like I said, you've got Quado and all this weird shit going on Mars, and very good action sequences also in this movie.
Absolutely.
But yeah, such a great film. And then we start like a run of a couple of badass movies in a row. Because as soon as Total Recall is done, we get that sequel to The Terminator, which I absolutely love, and I love it for flipping the first movie. And like we said, first movie, very much a horror movie, very much like he's the boogeyman coming after the main character. This one, he's not the boogeyman. And spoiler alert, he actually becomes the good guy fighting against Robert Patrick, who's the bad guy. And we've talked about this 1,000 times. The trailer for this movie is the worst trailer that Hollywood has ever put out.
The teaser was perfect.
I don't know if I remember the teaser.
It just shows like a T-800 getting built by machines, like on an assembly line.
Okay.
And the T-800 goes into like a press, and then the press closes, and when it opens up, it's a naked Arnold.
Okay.
Down like this, and then he opens up. He like pulls his head up, and his eyes open, and then like you see the red part of his eyes.
Nice.
And it just slams closed, and it says T2.
T2.
And it's just like. It's the perfect teaser of all time. But yes, they ruined this movie by showing us the flip of everything in the trailer. Yeah. Whoever made trailers for TriStar, Coralco, or whoever needs to be shot. They need to have a whole lot of stuff taken away from them because if Hollywood again.
If you are not aware, number one, if you haven't seen T2, you shouldn't be listening right now. Number two, if you've seen T2 and haven't seen the trailer, don't ever watch the trailer. The trailer for T2 literally shows you Arnold protecting John Connor in the preview. It shows you that the T-1000 is the bad guy. If you didn't ever watch that trailer, we're at like minute 35 when the scene in the mall back corridor happens. For the first 35 minutes of the movie, you think Arnold is still the bad guy because he was the bad guy the first time, and you think Robert Patrick has been sent to save Edward Furlong. And then that scene happens where the Terminator, who Edward Furlong for some reason gets scared of, even though it was his mom that saw him in the first movie.
I don't know, but he's seen pictures.
Oh, okay, all right, then okay, I guess that makes sense. He freaks out when he sees the Terminator, and then you get the words, "Get down." Literally, you would have been 35 minutes into this movie before you were like, wait, why did he just tell John Connor to get down? And then he shoots the T-1000, who, in theory, up until that point, is who you think the first time they had to send somebody to save Sarah from the Terminator. Why wouldn't they be sending somebody to save her son in the second movie? Like, the fact they gave that away in the preview has never sit well with me. It's just terrible.
If they had told us the ending of The Sixth Sense.
Exactly. In the trailer, yeah.
Like, you just don't.
I mean, in an awkward roundabout way, I See Dead People literally did tell us the end of the movie, but we weren't smart enough to figure it out.
So.
But yeah, they literally ruined this trailer because this is one of the best action movies ever. I will say it has some lulls. It has some slow moments that probably could have been tightened up, thinking about it from an editing standpoint, but the story itself and the flip, Linda Hamilton being in the psychiatric ward, like that was a really well done sequence. And when she as an actor is amazing when she sees the T-800 coming to save her, like the "Take my hand if you want to live" line, amazing, and a very quotable line that's been redone in a lot of movies.
At some point in time, I want to say, I can't remember where I heard this, but it was literally like the thought process was that when John reprogrammed the T-800 in the future, he wanted those to be the first words that were ever said to his mother, because those were the first words that Kyle Reese said to his mom when she was being saved by the original Terminator. Yep. So a way to help her quickly grasp that I need to be assisted by this person right now. So,
which is badass. That's very good writing for like putting that storytelling together.
So Judgment Day is awesome. Easily top 5 action sci-fi movies probably still, which is really crazy because of the fact that, here we have two of my top 5 easy action sci-fi done by the same guy.
Yep.
But then we talked about it with the John McTiernan episode. Here's John McTiernan doing Die Hard and Predator, and
Yep.
those are very high on my list as well. So, yeah, awesome movie. So,
And then we get to another one of my favorite action movies, top 10 at least. You say 3?
No. This is 3 years after Terminator 2.
Oh yeah.
Arnold
And
hooks up again with Jim Cameron.
Yeah, James. Yeah, well, I was about to say, like, when we've talked before, I love the fact that, like, a lot of the DMX movies that I really liked, who was their white comedic guy that they would always bring in for those movies?
Kevin Barr? No, what's his name?
Mr. Barr is what we'll just call him.
Kevin Arnold? Isn't that his name? No, that's Arnold. David, isn't it? Tom Arnold.
Tom Arnold. Kevin Arnold was the kid on the Wonder Years.
Yep, totally.
Yeah, Tom Arnold. So I really enjoy the fact that, like, Tom Arnold was the first really well, I mean, he did the Belushi movie, but, like, this was Arnold getting to do action and comedy in the same movie, because Arnold has a lot of funny shit in this movie.
Oh yeah.
True Lies is a great movie and has a lot of great comedy to it.
Absolutely.
Like, so I'm trying to think.
The opening sequence of this movie.
At the party?
When they do the party.
Yep.
Was literally James Cameron said, I want to do a James Bond film.
Which, it's perfect.
And it literally is almost exactly like a James Bond opening.
Yep.
So it worked
out. Well, and then, like, it starts off very serious, and it's like you're watching the movie and you're like, oh, Arnold's being Arnold again. Like, he's a spy. He's doing all this James Bond stuff. And then, like, the escape part, and Tom Arnold starts making jokes, and then, like, Arnold is bouncing off of those jokes. You're just like, oh, this is something totally different. Like, this is not what I was expecting from Arnold. And it's so, again, like, James Cameron's great, Arnold's great, and they do a great script that is just so much fun to watch from top to bottom.
Absolutely.
I have some issues with specifically the third act. Jamie Lee Curtis's character in the third act and all the guns stuff going on, and the gun that gets dropped and it's just shooting people while it's bouncing down the stairs. Like, some of that was a little too much for me from a storytelling aspect.
You know what's though, like, you say that right now because we've had the chance to watch it 20 times, 30 times, sure, whatever the case may be. And so, like, yeah, it doesn't fit almost anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I can remember seeing this for the very first time and it having such an effect on me that, like, while it, like, the entire audience while it was happening is just like laughing and enjoying that moment together. And it was, I remember the joyous laughter that was happening.
Okay.
Like, oh my God. Like,
well,
kind of, it's so out of context if you watch it at home and you're just by yourself and you're so used to seeing it. And
that's what I was about to say. Like, maybe I've just forgotten whatever my in-theater experience was. Like, maybe numerous home viewings have just, like, ripped that away from me.
Yeah, it was definitely a silly moment, and it doesn't really work at home, but it definitely, I can remember it working while we were in the theater. So,
yep. His next film, I had a recent conversation about this movie, and I actually really enjoy it.
Okay.
I know a lot of people don't like it. I don't. I remember it was, a marsh on a Saturday night renting it type thing. Like, I watched it at home in my parents' basement. His 1996 film Eraser with Vanessa Williams. Yeah, Vanessa Williams. I unfortunately always get her and Vivica A. Fox confused. I don't know why. For whatever reason, they were both acting in the late 90s, and so I have trouble remembering which is which. But Vanessa Williams, the singer, I like Kruger in this movie. Like, I feel like he's a very no-nonsense character, but still has funny shit that happens around him in this movie. That's fine. Like, I enjoy it. I don't think it's amazing in any way, but I do think it's a pretty fun movie. He gets betrayed. He has to, save her and go against the people that betrayed him. Like, it's your typical, what you expect from a mid-90s, like, government film with a a traitor in their midst type thing. So it was fine. Who was his boss that was the bad guy in this movie?
That's a really good question. I can look it up for us really quick.
I believe it's like a bald white dude, if I remember, like Xander Berkeley or somebody along those lines. But I just can't remember who his boss was.
Was it James Cameron? Oh, no. I mean, James Caan?
Ooh, it might be James Caan.
No, it's right. James Coburn.
Oh, James Coburn. There we go. Yeah,
James
okay.
Cromwell. What's with all these James in this movie? It's been so long since I saw this film. So
wait a minute. You're telling me James Caan, James Coburn, and James Cromwell are all in this movie?
Yes.
I didn't remember that fact at all. So it's one of those three white guys that's the bad guy. I'm going to go with James Cromwell's the bad guy.
No. It's James Caan. So it's James Caan. I just looked it up.
Okay.
So he's the bad guy.
All right.
He's the
that's a lot of Jameses that are good actors in one movie. I didn't remember all that.
Yep. Vanessa Williams, James Caan, James Coburn, Robert Pastorelli, James Cromwell, the guy who played it was in Mad Men, and he played Howard Stark the first time.
No, I never watched Mad Men.
John Slattery.
Oh, I'm when you said he was on Mad Men and played Howard Stark, I put those into the same thing. I didn't realize you had actually jumped to the MCU for that second name that you gave me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Slattery. Yeah, okay, that guy was all right. I remember him.
Yeah.
So yeah, we both like Eraser. Well, I like Eraser. You think Eraser's okay?
Yeah, Eraser's fine.
1997's movie could have honestly been put in the comedy category.
Yes.
But I felt like they were trying to be action-y with Batman and Robin.
So literally, he has not made a solid movie since Eraser.
Okay.
Like, that's my personal opinion on Arnold Schwarzenegger's career, is looking at absolutely everything after he's done this. And the only one that I 100% really enjoyed was Eraser. We get to a couple of them later down the line after he's been governor, that I could be like, oh, it was good. But like, for the most part, like, Eraser's on and I'll probably watch it.
Cool.
Where it's almost everything after Eraser, if it's on, I'd be like, I'm good. I'll watch
looking down at the list, I will probably agree with you that 96 was the end of his great movies, because 96 was also Jingle All the Way, and we'll get to that later. So 96, I'll give you, is probably the end of his good movies.
Batman and Robin, worst Batman ever. Worse than 66 Batman.
Yeah, I mean, 66 Batman's fun, at least. I enjoy it. 66 Batman, but
this one makes no sense. It tries to be the 66 Batman, but it doesn't have it's not making fun of itself enough.
You know what the weird thing is that he claims that he's proud of this movie. Like,
I don't know why.
I'm not sure either, but I was reading some of the trivia on him and whatnot, getting ready for tonight's episode, and it literally said that he has come out and said that he is not ashamed of this movie and is happy to be attached to it. I don't know, because I don't know if it's worse or not, but as we previously discussed, his 99 film was End of Days, where Gabriel Byrne played the devil.
Okay. I'm going to pull a Zach Morris. Time out. End of Days is not a great movie. It's not even a good movie. At least Arnold was trying something different, because he's actually trying to do acting, and it's a very serious role.
And it's in a legit horror genre, I would put it. Like a horror action genre.
He's trying to be the hero in a horror action drama.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work. But I really like the ending of his character in this movie. I
feel like he gets crucified or something, doesn't he?
Jumps on a sword and skewers himself because he's been turned into the devil.
That's right. Yeah.
So because I can't remember if they killed Gabriel Byrne or whatever, but like essentially the essence of the devil jumps in him and he kills himself so that it will die, or at least leave Earth, because it had to have been in a human when like the clock struck midnight going into the year 2000
Yeah.
or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, this movie sucks overall,
Yeah.
but I appreciate what he attempted to do, but it's not good by any method.
I will say I enjoyed it more than the 2000 film you referenced earlier, because The Sixth Day was one of the worst pieces of sci-fi shit I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's really bad.
It's so terrible, like just not even good.
You want collateral damage? I'll show you collateral damage.
Let's definitely move on to that. I know I didn't really care for this movie, but I feel like you liked it, didn't you?
It's fine. I put it up there with like Raw Deal and Red Heat.
Okay.
It's like, it's fine. It's very far-fetched with the fact that he's just a fireman and he gets to be able to go after terrorists.
Yeah.
Like, very far-fetched movie, but I'm gonna be completely honest.
Yep.
The movie next on his list,
Yep.
I literally wanted to walk out, but if I hadn't been with my brothers and had only ridden with them instead, if I had driven separately, I would have walked out of this movie, even though it was free. Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines sucks until the last like 2 minutes of the movie. The whole movie sucks.
I was gonna say, like, as much as I don't enjoy the movie, number one, I do like Christina Loken's like Terminator, the TX or whatever she was.
That's
like,
just because she's hot. Like, what had
yeah,
to do with the fact that it was any good?
Correct. I'll definitely cop up to that. The last 5 minutes of the movie are the only good part of the entire film. I enjoy the fact that they are like, Judgment Day happens no matter what.
Yep.
Like, no matter what you do, no matter how many times you try to change things, Judgment Day happens.
Down the road.
Yep. So I enjoyed that, but that was literally the only part of the movie, the last 5 minutes, where Judgment Day happens, where I was like, oh, okay. Like, I just sat through a whole bunch of shit, but I like the way you ended this movie, even though nothing else leading up to it was any good.
Yep.
So after that was pretty much during his hiatus. One of the films that he did during his hiatus is he gave us a quick one-scene cameo. Do you remember who the other one-scene cameo person was in his scene?
It's Bruce Willis.
Yep. So in the first Expendables, Barney goes to a church, if I remember right, and it's Bruce Willis and Arnold and Stallone that have a conversation in that church, where it was just kind of cool to see the three of them on screen together. Yep. And then, like, that was all we got. So that was fine. Like, I left this, despite the fact that I said no cameos were going to be in this, because I just kind of felt like he was cool enough to be talked about for that one scene that he had in the movie, because after he was done being the governor a couple of years later, he did have a bigger part in Expendables 2. And I'm a big fan of the Expendables franchise. Like, I don't love it. Like, it's not like it's a Fast and the Furious franchise or anything, but I enjoy all three of the movies for what they are.
And, like, we've already talked about them at length with Jason Statham and with Sly Stallone. So, but yeah, I'm right there with you. They're fun enough.
Yep.
I prefer 1 and 2 way more than 3.
Totally agree.
That before, so.
Well, and even 2 is definitely a step way down from the first one. The first one was so much fun and so good, very enjoyable. Then he came back for a bigger part in the second one, which was fine. Like, it was cool to see Arnold being, this version of Arnold again. But I mean, it was more of a Stallone movie, if you want to be honest. So I remember in 2013, you and I had been working together at that point, and Arnold was getting back into doing movies, and he did a movie with Johnny Knoxville, which he's starting these two later 2000s movies were starting to get that vibe of, we got to have an action star with a comedy sidekick. And he did The Last Stand. But I remember being pleasantly surprised with it.
My only issue with this movie is literally that it makes no sense whatsoever. Because it's car that's speeding towards the Mexican border, and it's this drug cartel guy who's trying to get to Mexico, and if he makes it to Mexico, he's free. And the town that he's in charge of is literally like the last spot where they could possibly stop him from going over to Mexico. And
Hmm.
it's a very silly. So a couple of years prior to this, Walking Tall was made,
Yep.
and Walking Tall was Dwayne the Rock Johnson with Johnny Knoxville.
Oh yeah. Yep. That
In a
makes sense.
small town, in a small town thing where he's like kind of the screw up, and it's literally like this. Johnny Knoxville's character in both of those movies is pretty much the exact same kind of dude.
Yep.
So this one's fine. I like some aspects of it, but like I said, nothing since Eraser, man. Like this is one of those ones that I could tolerate, but I'm not going to go out of my way to watch this one again. So
I remember enjoying his next film, which was Escape Plan.
yes,
Again, it was him and Stallone back together again. But I enjoy it. Stallone had to be the guy. I built this prison. Now I'm getting put in prison. Now I'm going to help this guy escape. And it was just one of those, like, too many things lined up too properly for this movie. Like, I enjoy the twist at the end, but, like, literally, like, 50 things had to fall in place to make that twist actually happen.
yeah, and it doesn't work from a story standpoint at the end of the film. You're like,
Yeah.
when you think about it.
Yeah.
So it's fine while you're watching it, but the moment you start thinking about it at all, it falls apart. It's kind of like any J.J. Abrams Star Wars movie.
In 2014, he did a movie called Sabotage, and I don't think I've seen this one.
Dude, so this is the one I was super pumped about. It's him, Joe Manganiello, isn't that his last name?
Joe Manganiello, yeah.
Yeah. They're DEA agents.
Okay.
And like somebody's killing they pull off some kind of, they essentially robbed somebody right near the end of them being DEA agents. And then all of a sudden people are just dying in this group, this 8-person group or something.
Oh.
And there was some really cool aspects of this movie. And I want to say it was Goyer who did this. Let me pull it up real quick.
I did see this
like
movie.
crazy.
Yes. It's the guy from Training Day and End of Watch. That's why I didn't really care for it. That's
David Ayers.
Yep, David Ayers. Yep.
So Sam Worthington's in it. Terrence Howard, Olivia Williams, Joe Manganiello, Josh Holloway, Max Martini. Dude, it's just kind
of. Oh, that's right. This is when Joe Manganiello had the braids in his, or the dreads in his hair.
Yeah, and like
I do remember this.
Moments where I'm just like, I wanted this movie to be so good because it had everybody in it, and the trailer for it, I got so pumped.
Yeah, I remember the trailer being really good, but I remember like quite a few. Like, you say Josh Holloway is in this movie, but like he's in this movie for one scene where one of his teammates turns on him and kills him.
No, I think he was in it for a little bit longer, but whatever the case. One of the things that really bugged me is this is another movie that was ruined by the trailer because I paid too much attention to trailers. So while I was watching, and it's not like I'm trying really hard either.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not. It's kind of like when we watched the first trailer for Star Wars Episode 1, and I was like, Qui-Gon Jinn's gonna get killed right in front of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you were like, no. And then we went to Walmart and you picked up the CD and you turned it over and you were like, you don't want to look at the back of this CD? But yeah, like I watched the trailer for this movie over and over again because I was just so pumped. And I was like, wait a minute, that and that makes me think that. Oh man, like, and I was totally right. It sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks when you can put things together way beforehand. That's one of those problems with watching movies over and over again, right? Like in seeing the patterns that emerge constantly. So like while I did enjoy Let Him Go last night, there were certain aspects that happened during the movie where I was like, this is gonna happen and this is gonna happen. And sure enough, but it didn't ruin it. At least the movie was still like good enough that I didn't get completely pulled out. It was just my brain going, I'm gonna like this and this are gonna happen. It doesn't happen much anymore, but a lot of trailers. I used to watch trailers and see things in the trailers, and then they would get locked in my brain. And then while we were watching the movie,
You were
I'd be
waiting
like,
for that scene.
wait a minute, that scene still hasn't happened yet.
Sure.
So, oh no, that means that this is gonna happen, and like I put it together before it happens. But I love it when I go to a movie and I forget what happened in the trailer because I'm so into the movie itself.
Sure.
And then I end up getting completely surprised and going, oh, dumb it. Like I should have remembered that was in the trailer. I would have had this already. But yeah, Sabotage got ruined by the trailer for me.
Okay.
It's worth watching if you like Arnold movies, though. Like,
well, and I do remember, I'm pretty sure that we actually did watch this movie together, but I don't think I've ever seen it since then. Like, I
know I have.
Yeah, I had forgotten about it until now. That same year, he did Expendables 3. I feel like he wasn't around for very much of the movie, so it's pretty pointless to talk about that anymore. He did a limited release movie called Maggie that I was very interested in seeing, but never did. Did you ever get around to seeing it?
I did not. I was hoping we were going to get it at our theater. We didn't.
Yeah.
I never made an effort, and then I read the online reviews afterwards, and I was like, "Well, crap! Like if I have the opportunity easily, then it might show up, and I might watch it at some point." But
like, is it Abigail Breslin that plays his daughter?
I think you're right on that. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you don't know the plot of the movie, his daughter is a zombie, and it's supposed to just be
bit by a zombie. It's him trying to like decide if he wants to kill her or not. Essentially,
yeah.
So yeah, it's Abigail Breslin. You're right.
Yeah, so. Didn't see it. In 2015, he returned to the Terminator franchise for Terminator Genesis.
Which one is this?
This is the one where John Connor becomes the bad guy.
Is this Emil Clark?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes. Well, yeah, because I probably because I took out all because he was in the fourth Terminator movie, but it was just his face put on the body of the other dude. Because at the very end,
yep.
Which one? Salvation. At the end of that one, like
it was while he was still governor.
Yeah, so they put his face from 82 or whatever on the body of the other guy that like looked like him.
Yep.
But so this one, after he was done being governor, he came back. Yes, this I believe is the Emilia Clarke one.
This is kind of really cool. So there's some aspects of this that I really enjoy. One is that I can't remember how this. All I remember is they send a Terminator back to save young Sarah Connor.
Yes. Yep.
They kill a T-1000 at the beginning of it with special lasers or something like that. And then
they recreated the scene from the first T-800 showing up, where the T-800 showed up to the three punks, and then Grandpa showed up to kill that T-800.
Oh yeah.
They recreated the scene from the first film where the T-800 arrives and then meets up with Bill Paxton's character, although I don't believe Bill Paxton redid it.
It was not. It was because after he died. But I want to say like that's not the first sequence though.
Oh, okay. I just remember that part.
The first sequence was when she's young. She's like super young. She's like a teenager or something like that. And then like they go into like a sewer or something, and a T-1000's chasing after them, and
Sounds
they end
familiar.
up chopping them up in a weird way with lasers or something.
Yeah.
Then they traveled to the future at some point. They jumped to the future, I think. I think that's what happened. I can't remember, dude. It's been so long.
Yeah, well, this is the one where like Jason Clarke was playing John Connor, and then like he travels back in time, and then that's when it's revealed that he's actually not John Connor. He's Skynet. That's a T-1000 that just makes himself look like John Connor. And then like the Doctor Who guy, Matt Smith, like fucks up one of the time travel things because he apparently was actually a pawn of Skynet also. Like there's just so much stupid shit in this movie.
Yeah.
So Terminator Genesis had some moments. There were some that I did enjoy. Emilia Clarke in the movie. I thought she was okay.
Yeah.
But overall, there was a lot of stuff in that movie that was not good. Then we've got a couple of limited movies. I don't know what Aftermath is. I know what Killing Gunther is, but I've never made time to watch it. I know Vi 2 Journey to China is like him and Jackie Chan finally having a fight on camera, but I've never tried to watch the movie.
That was Iron Mask.
Oh, I don't even have Iron Mask on here.
Iron Mask is the same one you're talking about right now.
Oh, okay.
Aftermath. Let me look this up real quick. Two strangers' lives become bound together after a devastating plane crash.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Maggie Grace is in it. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, it doesn't say much. It's
Well, I don't know. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. In English-speaking countries, it is known as the Iron Mask. So yeah, Vi 2 Journey to China is known as the Iron Mask, and that's Schwarzenegger and Jackie Chan finally having a fight together.
Yeah, it's a very weird. Have you watched the trailer for
I've
that?
seen the trailer, and it looks bizarre. It looks so like 1992 low budget, like
on
very
Hulu.
bad
Maybe we should give it
CGI.
a spin sometime.
What?
It's on Hulu. We should give it a spin sometime.
So in 2019, he also gave us his last so far performance as the Terminator with Dark Fate, which I felt was very blah.
Ugh, I wanted to like it. It's James Cameron producing it. James Cameron idea, like directed by the guy who gave us Deadpool. So like you had the right aspects to it. I didn't even mind you giving me a supercharged up girl who like was part robot. Like it.
That was the. I literally had forgotten that she was the bad guy until you just said that.
Oh no, she was the good guy.
Not the good. I'm sorry, not the bad guy. The good guy.
Yeah, like it kind of worked. It was fine. Overall,
the dude that was the new T-1000 was the guy that was Ghost Rider, right? Was it?
Oh, it wasn't a T-1000, but yeah, you're right. It
or
was
a TX or whatever they called him, but it was that Latino guy whose name I'm drawing a blank on, but
yeah,
he was fine.
Ghost Rider. So,
Diego Luna,
flat, man.
Diego Luna is his name, I think.
Yeah, it just fell flat. It just didn't work. So
yeah, like, and Arnold being old Arnold was okay, but just definitely wanted and expected more from that. Yep. His last film credit in the action category is the movie that hasn't come out yet. The first Kung Fury was fine for what it was. Weird, goofy action movie. You never saw it? It's worth, dude. It's so bizarre. Like, it literally took everything you ever wanted from an 80s movie and literally wrapped it all up into one movie. Like, it's ridiculous. It's Big Trouble in Little China to 1,000 level of ridiculousness for what it is. Like, it's fun. I have some friends that like really love this movie. I just kind of like it. I thought it was cool. I thought it was okay. I don't dislike it in any way. The fact that they're doing a sequel is cool and funny, and the fact that he's apparently being the president in the sequel, I don't know how much screen time that'll give him, but check out Kung Fury, man. It's funny, and you'll enjoy a lot of the like homages and like ridiculous shit that they do. That's definitely geared towards 80s action movies. And so that's the end of his action stuff. Now,
the action stuff. Now we're moving on to the comedy stuff.
Oh, and look how short this list is. He did 5 comedies, and 4 of them were within 8 years of each other. On the Nerdist podcast, he tells a great story about meeting Ivan Reitman at a party. And he had told Ivan Reitman at the beginning of the night, hey, I would really be interested in working with you someday. I think you're very funny. Like, I like your stuff. And he said that he felt like Ivan Reitman was kind of blowing him off. He was like, oh, you want to do comedy? Yeah, okay, whatever. And then hours later, after they had spent time talking at this party, Ivan Reitman apparently said, I've got to write some ideas for you. You definitely can do comedy. Like, let's get together and talk. And he said they got together. Ivan Reitman pitched him 5 different things, and the one that he liked is what ended up becoming Twins. And he tells the story that Twins' original title in Ivan Reitman's pitch was called The Experiment. And so Chris Hardwick was like, oh, The Experiment, that's weird. And he goes, yeah, we decided that a movie called The Experiment with a guy from Austria whose native language is German didn't really work very well, so we needed to change the name. So that's how it became Twins. And oddly, on that podcast from 2014, Schwarzenegger tells a long story about how they're going into pre-production on the sequel to Twins, including Eddie Murphy, who at their mother's funeral, they find out that she has left them a letter saying that there's a third one of you from that experiment, and they, Danny DeVito and Schwarzenegger go on the trip to find Eddie Murphy's character. And that was 7 years ago. Shows how good that script is, I guess.
Well, Coming to America sequel was in the works for a decade.
Yeah.
Or more.
So Twins was fun. Twins was fine. I enjoyed Twins for what it was. There's nothing great or special about it.
I love it when he meets Kelly Preston.
Oh, yeah.
And she brings the cookies, and he's like,
yeah.
Thank you for the cookies. I'm looking forward to tossing them.
Yes.
Very silly.
Yeah, so. They're two girlfriends in that movie I remember being very attracted to as a young man. They were both perfectly cast. And Kelly Preston was always gorgeous in everything she was in. 1990, bro. I love this movie.
I do. It's fun.
It's so much fun. He took on the comedic role of John Kimball.
And he looks like he's such the badass at the beginning of this movie.
Oh,
with that beard and like the beard and mustache.
The whole mall sequence.
Like, yeah, he just looks like he's this perfect, menacing Terminator-esque cop kind of thing, and it works. And then he's like, shaves and becomes a silly person. So
Penelope Ann Miller, I believe, was his co-star. I didn't, oddly, most of the time I find her fairly attractive. I did not find her attractive in this movie specifically for the haircut they gave her. Like, it didn't work for me. I was like, I've seen you in other things and been attracted to you. This hair does not work for me.
Now all of a sudden Shane's a fashionista as well.
I'm trying to make sure that casting and production design people understand that certain hairstyles just don't make women attractive. And I don't know if maybe that was all the rage in 1990, but when I watched it, it didn't work for me. Well, let me tell you the next. When I watched it after I was like 16, it didn't work for me. So yeah, I love Kindergarten Cop. I thought it was really fun. It was good. Last Action Hero. A lot of people shit on this movie. Thank you. I love it. I love the not sci-fi, the fantasy aspect of it, like him getting sucked into the movie for the first half of the movie, and then the two of them coming out of the movie into reality for the second half. Like, just so much fun. Like, and it's got one of those like sci-fi bad guys that was cool at that time. Not sci-fi, fantasy bad guys that was cool at that time, like Christopher Lloyd in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Like, when you're playing in that ridiculous aspect of fantasy, like the guy that was the bad guy in that movie, and he's been in the bad guy in so many other things. I can't remember his name. I can see his ugly little face. He was in Ghostbusters. He was
sorry, I'm trying to find
you're good.
His, here we go. Last Action Hero. Charles Dance.
Oh, yes. No, it's the guy from, it's the guy from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and Alien 3.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he's an awesome villain in that movie. 94, one of his not good comedies. I did not like Junior at all.
They just literally tried to cash in on Twins. That's all it was.
Yeah. It was bad. Not fun or enjoyable. I do every holiday season watch Jingle All the Way multiple times. If that's on TV and I'm number one, I go out of my way to watch the digital version that I own. But if it's on TV on some Christmas channel marathon thing, I can't turn it off. Him and Sinbad work so well together in this movie. It's so much fun. And then I believe Tom Arnold is in this one also. Like, yeah, this movie's so good. It's so much fun. It's a holiday classic. Have you shown it to your kids yet?
No.
You need to. I'll lend you the DVD so you don't even have to pay for it. Like, I have it on DVD and I own it digitally, so I won't even miss the DVD. I mean, it's in my Christmas DVD collection, so I might miss it, but I'll let you borrow it so you don't have to pay a penny to. You can show it in your driveway on your big screen projector in the middle of the winter.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
I mean, winters in Indiana are like 60 degrees anyway, right? Like,
Sometimes you're right.
yeah, so you can watch it outside. You really don't like Jingle All the Way, though?
I've got no qualms with it, honestly. I think I've only seen the whole thing once when I watched it in the theater, but since then it's not something I've been like jazzed about watching. I know a lot of people really enjoy it though. So
you're gonna watch it with your kids, and it's gonna have a new special place in your heart because this entire movie is a holiday film about a dad who wants nothing more than giving his son what he wants. And you're going to experience that times 4 when you watch it. You need to watch Jingle All the Way with your family. His last comedy billing is a couple of minute scene, I believe, if I remember right, in Around the World in 80 Days. It was
a Jackie Chan movie.
It's a Jackie Chan movie, but they didn't fight in this movie.
Hey, knock it off.
Thor just says, I want screen time too, Dad.
No. It's Bella. She's
just is it Bella? Okay.
Being the bitch that she is, trying to run the world. So
gotcha.
Knock it off.
That shake sounded Thorish to me. I apologize for getting that wrong.
Oh no, it was probably Thor who shook.
Okay.
She was attacking him. So Bella, no.
So I never watched Around the World in 80 Days. It's not a movie I have any interest in at that time or now. So
it's not a good movie. I watched it. It's what is it? Owen Wilson
and Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan. Come here.
If I remember reading right, he literally has like 2 minutes of screen time or something. Like it's very small.
Something like that.
Yeah. So blah. That was while he was a governor. To wrap up this episode, we have 4 cameos to talk about. I love the film Dave. It is one of my favorite like 90s comedies. Arnold is in it for 30 seconds because
as Arnold.
Yeah, he's as Arnold. Kevin Kline playing the fake president at that point. Arnold comes for his like. They legit use whatever like Arnold's like shtick was at the early 90s that he was like I should have looked this up. His fitness thing that he was the ambassador of or whatnot. He comes to the White House to promote that. So it was a cross promotion for him to promote his own thing and get put in the movie Dave. I don't know what Beretta's Island is.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it either. He has. You brought this up last week on the Rock episode, and I had missed it when I just watched this movie. He's apparently got 5 seconds of screen time in the rundown.
So cool.
Yeah, I literally must have blinked or looked away when that happened when I was rewatching the rundown. And then the Bruce Willis film, The Kid and I, he has a cameo in, but I never saw the movie.
Yeah.
You didn't either?
I never saw the movie either.
Awesome. That is the career of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Lots of fun to talk about the various projects that he has been in. This was episode 49, not a 1999 episode. Next week, hopefully, it should be next week, will be episode 50. Big milestone for us. 50 episodes over the last year and 3 months or so. Almost doing one every week, taking a few breaks here and there, having some schedule issues. And if you throw in some of our mini episodes or whatnot, like there were some weeks we didn't miss, but like Jason and I didn't do them together and stuff like that. But next week is going to be episode 50. Tomorrow in real time, 2 days ago, by the time anybody listens to this, I'm going to put up a post on our Facebook page asking for dinner party guests. If you could have a dinner party with 3 fictional characters, who would you invite to your dinner party? You being the 4th at this dinner party. Hopefully trying to stick to actual fictional characters, not doing anybody from a biopic or anything like that, or characters that are like based on real life people. Like if you could pick 3 random fictional characters from 3 movies that you like that you would want to sit and have dinner with and why, that's what we're planning on talking about for our 50th episode, our gold episode. 50th anniversary is a gold gift, so next week's a gold episode for us. I'm excited that we're hitting 50. Like when we started this, I didn't think we'd do 10 episodes, but I've loved everything we've been able to put together and talk about, even when we've had some boring episodes. And we've had some boring episodes, and we've had some really long episodes too. But next week's 50th episode, really excited and looking forward to that. And then I think after we hit 50, Jason and I might take like a summer break. We might take a couple of weeks off. Not that this is super demanding, it takes a couple hours every week for me to, try to put a script together for us, send it to Jason, get some feedback from him and some ideas to kind of know what we're going to talk about and whatnot. But like I said, for like the last 15 months, we've been doing this almost every week. We've taken some breaks here and there, but I think after we hit 50, we might take a couple of weeks to figure out what we're going to do next. Jason's got some ideas that he's thrown at me that I really like, so we're going to try to solidify some of his ideas and make some more fun episodes. You're going to need a bigger bucket. Hopefully when we come back, everyone will need a bigger bucket for what we do. But yeah, so like I said, Jason, I'll probably take a couple of weeks off, throw around some more ideas, try to come up with better concepts than just going straight through somebody's filmography. Probably try to do a lot of Jason's ideas are much more community interactive, putting up questions farther ahead of time and getting some feedback and ideas from actual people on our Facebook page of better conversations that we can have.
Not a part of Shane Talks on Facebook. Get on it.
I don't even know what accent that was, but it scared me. But as the scary man just said, we have a Facebook page. We put up community polls on there all the time. Actually, I've kind of gone away from community polls. Number one, because I got tired of people coming up with things that I didn't put on the poll. What's that?
6 to midnight, a poll?
Oh, yeah, no. Different poll. POLL.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I've kind of just gone more towards not generic questions, but specific questions and seeing how people respond to those instead of trying to do polls, because it's just, I always forget something. I try to do stuff by memory and then I'll forget a movie that somebody was in. Like I'll ask, what's your favorite Adam Sandler movie? And all of a sudden it'll be like, you forgot about The Water Boy. And I'm like, well, I forgot about The Water Boy on purpose. But yeah, so.
Nobody forgets about The Water Boy.
Which, don't get me wrong, I enjoy people who make fun of me for forgetting about stuff. Like that just goes over so great when I'm at home reading comments. But so yeah, like I said, next week, Jason and I have plans to do the dinner party episode, do that at 50, take a couple weeks off for the rest of the summer, probably come back at the beginning of September and have some more solid ideas and better topics for us to go over. And yeah, it should be a lot of fun. We'll probably have some announcement-ish type stuff for our personal lives at that point, maybe. But man, we'll see how that goes. But gonna take a little break in August after next week's episode. Hopefully we have some guests on next week, because the other thing Jason and I talked about is you guys are probably really bored, even if you've made it this far, to listening to just the two of us talk for episode after episode after episode. I know you guys are missing some of our favorite guests, co-hosts, guests. Going to try to bring at least one or two of them back next week for the dinner party episode. Hopefully have a dinner party during the episode. But until then, yeah, that didn't land very well, did it? Thank you very much for listening to episode 49, a non-1999 episode of Shane Talks. We will be back next week with our dinner party, and thank you.